I kind of like beforehand was just like, I don't care how long it takes, I'm gonna finish. Like that was the mentality the whole time leading up to it. There was no question of like, oh, if this happens or if that happens or blah blah blah. It was like, no matter what, I don't care how long it takes. If I have to sleep at home and take a break or whatever, I'm gonna finish it.
From KOM Cycling and Michigan Midpack Media, welcome to the Dirty Chain Podcast, the podcast that covers the cycling scene from the viewpoint of the Michigan Midpack. I am your host, Trevor, and we're back. After taking a little bit of a break after last season, we're back at it for 2025, starting with this year's Polar Roll Ultra, with my bud and ultra finisher, Sebastian Stankiewicz. Now, we've covered Polar Roll, the fat bike race out of the UP of Michigan a few times now, and even the longer ultra version we've talked about previously on the show. But as I was following the track leader dots this year, while Sebastian was out there and watching his progress, I knew that this was a story that I wanted to hear. And we covered details of his gear, the route, his overall adventure. But mostly, this is a story about redemption. Now, you might recall last year, both Sebastian and I took on and quit the 200-mile death march that is the Margie Gessick Out and Back. But while quitting sucks and is disappointing, it can also be fuel to the fire. And I think you will hear that that is exactly the case for Sebastian with the Polar Roll Ultra. Personally, I was super pumped to see my good friend succeed, to be one of the few finishers, and buckle this epic event. The Polar Roll Ultra with Sebastian Stankiewicz.
Hello.
Yeah. What's happening?
Oh, not much. Not much.
Looking fresh there, Sebastian.
I know. I feel good. I feel fresh. Actually, I'm
man.
gonna grab a beer.
Yeah, you better do that.
Yeah. You got one?
Listen, I got one I'm working on.
What are you drinking?
A little shorts, thirsty for more. It's it's like I think leftover from the Home Alone series they did. But I got a solid gold on standby, which I'm gonna have to crack into pretty soon here. So
Nice.
What about yourself? What you got there? Oh,
Classic Coors Banquet, baby.
Perfect. Sebastian, man, it's been too long, dude. I don't think have we talked much since since Margie, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Which actually, like, I think ties into this conversation beautifully. Because right? the last time we talked was probably very similar to this on Zoom for an episode full of disappointment.
Yep.
Where
Yep.
both you
down in the dumps, man. That was a rough episode. It was a rough episode.
Well, it was a rough go for the Margie Out and Back, where we both had to pull the plug. But as I said on your Strava upload, after you completed the Polar Roll Ultra redemption. Man,
Redemption, baby,
I,
big
I bet
time.
it, I bet it tastes so sweet.
Oh, dude, I'm just bathing in it right now.
So we got to go back. Like when let me preface it with this. So it's definitely after Margie. Um, it was Iceman, okay, and you didn't do Iceman
That's
this
right.
year,
No, I
but
didn't.
I KOM had a booth right across from 906, and Todd Poquette was right across the way from us, and I was talking to him a little bit, and he was like, "Yeah, did you see Sebastian signed up for Polar Roll Ultra?" I was like, "He did, really?" And
Oh,
he said, "Yeah, I guess he wants a little bit of redemption after that Margie out and back." So when when was the sign up for Polar Roll? I mean, it was that long ago, right? Like
I feel like
in
it was right after Margie.
okay,
Yeah,
and
I want to say it was like, October, beginning of October sign up, and um, it was kind of like, well, I live up here now, so I might as well give it a go because why not? Uh, and yeah, I signed up, but I really didn't know what to expect because I've never done a winter ultra. So, um, it was an impulse decision for sure to sign up for that one, but I think it paid off.
well, for sure. Was it like in the back of your mind? Was it going to be a redemption ride, or was it just you've never done a winter ultra and you wanted to give it a go?
It
Because
was a little bit of both. A
that
little
seems
bit
like
of both.
a lot of pressure to put on yourself.
Yeah, no, I kind of like beforehand was just like I don't care how long it takes, I'm gonna finish. Like that was the mentality the whole time leading up to it. There was no question of like, oh, if this happens or if that happens or blah blah blah. It was like no matter what, I don't care how long it takes. If I have to sleep at home and take a break or whatever, I'm gonna finish it. And so that's the mentality I went into it with, and I think it was good that I was pretty much unsupported. I mean, I got some support from people, trail angels and whatnot,
Mhm.
but Mackenzie, was out of town visiting her grandma, so she wasn't around to,
I
you
didn't
know,
know
meet,
that.
meet me along the way or anything. So I was kind of out there on my own. We had contacted some people in the area, some friends, to like let them know, hey, if there's an emergency, like you might get a phone call. But
Holy cow!
but yeah, I mean, I was like, I had all the stuff, and I was like, I have all the gear. If I have to sleep out in the woods, like that's why they make you carry a -20 bag. So go
And you've
figure it out.
and at this point, before the ultra, have you ever done? I know you've done some bike packing before, but have you ever done an overnight winter uh, trip bike
No,
packing? So
no.
that was a big question mark. You know, a new experience for you for sure.
Oh, for sure, definitely. Yeah, and those -20 sleeping bags are not cheap. I mean, they're like $800 for a decent
Oof.
one.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's but you get what you pay for, right? It's going to keep you warm at the rated temperature. So, um and then we had to have a bivy and a sleeping pad. You had to have a stove with fuel, calories that didn't freeze, um, metal insulated containers for water, headlamp, front and rear light, red lights, and then headlight. So, I mean, the gear list is pretty extensive, but it's definitely there for a reason. I mean, especially with the conditions we had this year. I mean, it was like if you didn't have that stuff, you could have died out there, and no one it'd be hard for someone to get to you because a lot of it's so remote. I mean, there's just like you can't get a car down a trail, right? Like you have to have a snowmobile with a sled on it to drag you out or something. It's the extremes of the extremes.
So we're talking like a little over 150 miles. Does that sound right?
I think it was 158.8.
Okay. Okay. And was it was it a loop? It wasn't a point to point, right?
It was a point to point. We
Okay.
started in Lake Levasseur, which funny story. So we show up for gear check the day before the race on Sunday, and we had like a mandatory check-in meeting for all the racers, and originally it was supposed to start in Lakenland,
Yeah.
but they had to change the start because they were worried that the road was going to be closed because of the winter storm that was coming in.
Oh,
So
God.
they moved the start to Lake Levasseur, which is closer to Marquette. But it was like all last minute, like Todd basically announced it during the meeting that the start line was changing.
Did you have
So
updated GPX files or anything?
yeah,
Or okay.
he sent it out after the meeting.
Oh, jeez.
Um, so people were like scrambling to figure out how to get it on their Garmins. Um, and it added an extra like 4 or 5 miles or something from the original, as if it was needed. Um, but yeah, so that was kind of a curveball right out of the gate, and you just gotta figure it out.
Um, this year I saw that several people like rode kind of as a team or just, they rode together, kind of like you and I did for Margie out and
Yeah,
back. Did you
yeah.
decide just to kind of go at it solo, or did you stick with a crew? How'd you approach it?
No, I went in solo. Um, I rode with like I've never done a race with headphones, but
Okay.
I pretty much wore headphones the entire time for this race. So I basically was just blasting music and like, all right, let's go get it. I would see people along the way, say hi and chat for a little bit if they were stopped and have a drink of water or whatever. Um, but yeah, no, I was like, I'm doing this for myself. I'm just gonna go as hard as I can and get her done. So, um, my family was actually pretty concerned. they're like, they're like, what? He's doing it alone. Like, doesn't like, is he crazy? He's gonna die out there and no one's even gonna know. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's not that crazy. There's people behind me that'll find me on the side of the
Oh,
trail.
Jesus. um, yeah, and I guess you did have like your dot that you could watch, and I'm
Right.
sure there's some ways to, if in case there's emergency, like figure things out. But still, I mean, it is though. I mean, it's definitely not a no risk situation.
No.
Anytime you're out there, uh, and especially in those elements. Which let's talk about the elements.
Yeah.
I mean, I am currently. I mean, as you can see, I'm not at my house. I'm up like near Grayling and Gaylord,
Oh,
and
nice.
it's like, I mean, that's up north, but not as far up north as Marquette and
Hmm.
that whole UP area. But even right here, man, I mean, I think there's like 130 inches of snow. I mean, it's like, I don't know, maybe not all of that, but I mean, it's a good amount of snow. Um,
Yeah.
they've gotten 130 inches of snow. Sorry, that's what I should have said. But uh, and I know that there are those few winter storms that went by just recently, and also it was ridiculously cold, right? So like
Yeah.
what were you dealing with? Like what time did you start and like what were the temps at that point?
Yeah. I think so we started at 7 a.m. on Monday.
Okay.
And it believe it was like -5 or close to it,
Okay.
like temp, but I think real feel was closer to like -15 with wind chill. So it was cold. It was very cold. And you know, again, I probably didn't prepare as well as I should have in terms of proper clothing and whatnot, but I did get some like 45 North pants that were awesome that went over my bibs, my long bibs. Um, so that I was good there, and then the I also had the 45 North boots. Those were super warm, kept me good the whole time. Um, and then on top, I actually all I wore was a wool base layer and a down jacket, like a down sweater jacket.
Hmm.
And that's pretty much all I wore the whole race. And it worked out really well. I did wear my ski helmet instead of my cycling helmet, just because it doesn't have any vents, and it does have a vent, but it's like adjustable, so you can open and close it. Um, so I think that was super helpful. And then I also had my ski goggles for like the wind and the open sections where it was blowing pretty good. But otherwise, I would just ride without any glasses or anything. So yeah, I mean the conditions were brutal, but it's kind of wild how once you start pedaling and like generate some body heat, how well it actually keeps you warm. Honestly, you still start sweating even in those temperatures, which is
Well,
kind of crazy.
did you
But
did you have any issues regulating that sweating to not sweating? Because I think that's where you go into you can get into a dangerous situation if you're sweating too much, right?
yeah, it's like a constant like zipping and unzipping your jacket. Yeah, especially with a down coat, it's not gonna have or down sweater, it's not gonna breathe, right? Like it kind of just soaks up the sweat. But I think the advantage of going with like a real down jacket versus like a synthetic material is that the down will still keep you warm even when it's wet, and same with the wool. It'll still keep you warm even when it's wet. So I think I saw a lot of people out there with like, you know, a lot of synthetic stuff, which I think can kill you because if you start sweating and that's wicking the moisture and it doesn't insulate when it's wet, like you're in big trouble for
Yeah.
sure.
What'd you do for your hands? Did you ride with the pogies, whatever?
Yeah, so I originally actually had the just the covers, um like the standard pogies that are basically just a piece of felt
Mhm.
with a waterproof coating. But then after riding up here a few times in the cold, I decided to get the insulated ones, that are just like beefier and have insulation in them. Um, they're the 45 North ones as well. Wish I was sponsored by them, but I'm not. Uh, but no, I actually just used those, and then I just had like a liner glove that I wore on the inside, and I was fine. I didn't use any hand warmers or foot warmers the whole race. Um, so you know, to be honest, I had a harder time staying like dry and preventing sweat than I did like being cold.
Sure.
So yeah, but I will say, I mean, I had a home field advantage because um, we started in Lake Lavasser, which is um like 20 minutes drive outside of town. And then the initial loop was through like Laughing Whitefish Falls recreation area, and it was like I think like 60 miles. There was a loop. They do it. It's the same loop as they do for the EX
Okay.
course. So you like start off, you do that loop, and then you come back through Lake Levasseur, and then ride on the snowmobile trail all the way from there to Marquette, basically a little bit of outside of Marquette. Um, and then you jump in on the south trails off of the Iron Ore Trail. Actually, we went up Mount Marquette, which was
Oh, on
pretty
the road.
brutal. Yeah, on the road.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
man,
on the road. Um, I mean, basically, you were just walking because you had like
your bike's so
50.
heavy, right?
Yeah, it's like I think my bike was like 50 or 60 pounds.
Oh
So,
man.
um, you know,
How
that's
are those
a lot of weight.
how are those snowmobile trails? Because I rode a few of them up here the other day. Um and I don't know if it's just because they got so much snow and it was too loose, but it was garbage riding. It was not good to ride on.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty much the theme of a snowmobile trail. They're meant for snowmobiles and not fat bikes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you basically like you try to find a line as best you can. Ideally it's like been groomed, the snowmobile trail, because they do
Hmm.
groom them. But you know, from Lake Levasseur to Marquette, I mean, there was no grooming. You just had to chug through it.
Oh,
So that was pretty rough. But I found that the like if you can find where the snowmobile, like where the ski on the front kind of makes like an indent in the snow,
yeah.
sometimes that could be like a good track to kind of try to take because it's a little bit more packed down than the tracks in the back that just break up the snow and churn it. um so no, those were definitely pretty rough, and usually they're long and flat because they're old railroad tracks.
Yep.
So you just like you're looking out in the distance, you're like, man, this this is just gonna go for a long time, especially when you're going 5 miles an hour.
What was your like moving time average mile per hour? Was it like 5?
Actually, surprisingly, I did look at that. I think it was like almost 6.5.
Oh, oh.
um I like I said, or what I was getting to is that I did stop halfway, basically at mile 80, which was after the South Trails into Forestville, which actually probably the worst part of the whole route was South Trails because it had just snowed the night before and nobody had ridden it,
Mm.
but it had been groomed, but the snow was so soft underneath that anytime you'd go into a turn or a climb, you just like sink in
Yeah.
and you have to get off your bike and walk. And I think when I talked to Todd, he said that a lot of people quit right after that section because it
Uh,
was so rough.
so that was
Um,
like before when you did your initial stop was after South Trail. So
yeah,
before mile 80, you said.
yeah. So I think we jumped in on South Trails about mile, I want to say 65 or something around there. Um, and then, you go up Mount Marquette on the road. Then you go to Benson Grade and you go up Benson Grade. So it's like two huge climbs in a row. And then we went like towards like Pipe Dream down that way, over to Yellow Trail. I'm forgetting the name right now, but you do the Enchantment Loop and and go out that way towards Gray Walls. And then from there you head towards the Iron Ore Trail. So you go through Harlow connector loop. Take the Iron Ore Heritage Trail up towards like Pete's Pass, go under 41, and then up Trail 14. That's part of Margie.
Okay.
That we usually come down the opposite way, coming out of North Trails. But we took Trail 14 all the way down to Forestville. So we didn't cut out and take the trail like you would for Margie. We just took the Trail 14 all the way to Forestville, and that's when I stopped for the night.
And did you have someone pick you up and take you to your house, or did you?
Yeah, we had Mackenzie's friend Hannah pick me up. I actually at that point like was soaked and was concerned that I was gonna like become hypothermic. Especially since the temps were like dropping even lower than what they were during the day that night. It was it was brutally cold and windy. And there was a stop along the way at like mile 96 is where Evans Camp was. But that was like another probably 3 or 4 hours from Forestville to get there.
Yeah.
So, and once you leave Forestville, it's like really hard for anyone to get to you because it's just difficult to access that area. So I had Hannah come pick me up, and take me home for the night, which was absolutely amazing.
Well, yeah. So you're soaked. You have all your gear. Like,
yeah.
Were you able to dry it, or did you have extra gear to put on, or what? How did you work that out? Because
yeah,
I'm assuming you didn't sleep for 15 hours because that's not viable. You can't do that.
Question.
So
yeah. So at this point, I was 80 miles in, and I think it was like 12 and a half hours in riding time. So I basically was, in Forestville around 7:30. So I came home, hung all my stuff on the radiators, and basically like ate some warm food, turned up my heat to 75 in the house. Got dressed like super warm and like went to bed, and then woke up the next day at, I think it was like 4 or 4:30. Had some breakfast, couple lattes, and went out on the trail at 6. I was at Forestville on my bike riding at 6. So
okay.
Yeah.
And everything was dry enough that
oh yeah, everything was dry. That's the best part about radiators is that they like dry things so fast, and yeah, it's the best. I love radiators.
So when did you, or were you constantly keeping track of? So there's two. Well, I'm going to say there's 3 goals probably. One is to finish no matter what, and you said you didn't care how long it took. You're going to finish no matter what.
Right.
What was the overall cutoff? And then, and then 2, what was the buckle cutoff?
Yeah.
And then where did those two cutoffs start really coming into your mind and um, you know, creating a real goal, especially that second day?
Yeah, I mean, I think based on the first day, I was like, man, this is great. I feel good. Like I didn't feel exhausted yet when I got to Forestville, which was like I was really happy about because usually after 12 hours of riding, you start to get, little impatient and start questioning things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I felt good other than being like worried about how cold I was going to be. I wasn't cold yet, but I knew it was coming. Um, so, when I got to Forestville, I was like, man, I'm making good time. I'm making good time. I think I have a chance to buckle. And the overall cutoff time was 48 hours, and buckle time was 36 hours.
Okay.
So honestly, it's I don't know. It's still really hard. I'm not even going to say anything about the buckle time because it's still very difficult.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but I basically calculated, okay, if it took me 12 hours to do the first half, it's going to take me about 12 hours to do the second half. So if I leave by 6, I should be able to buckle, assuming it's going to take 12 hours. That leaves me with like an hour of margin of error, right?
Oof.
And
That's not. That's some tight margins right there.
yeah, I was like, I want to get some sleep, which I think the sleep paid off because then I was able to push it all day the next day. So, um, yeah, so it really started to kick in um, once I started riding on Trail 14 again, because you take Trail 14 out to Red Road. Um, and it's like the worst section of Trail 14. I mean, you're like up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. I think we did it for Crusher. It's right out of Forestville. And I was like, yeah, I don't think this is going to work out. I was like getting off the bike, walking, getting on the bike, riding, walking, riding, walking. And then
You didn't. Sorry,
it was,
you didn't think you would be able to buckle at that point, or like just you were just in
yeah,
general like this isn't gonna work. Yeah, like
sorry. No, I didn't think I was going to be able to buckle. I knew I
got
was
it.
going to keep going and
Okay.
finish, but
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not going to worry about the buckle. It is what it is, maybe next year. um, but kept chugging along, and then we hit some gravel roads that were um like basically ice, which was really nice. It's like, wow, I can actually go like 10 miles an hour now instead of 5. So you hit some of those gravel roads and get some momentum, and then you start to build that confidence back up, and you feel better about yourself. Um, and then I got to Evans Camp, and I saw Chelsea there, Chelsea Straight, and she was riding with two other guys. Can't remember their names now, but they all had stayed there for the night, and I think there was a pretty big group that stayed there the night because the camp was a lot nicer than what I expected. There was like a cabin and like what you're sitting in now with a wood stove and
Mm.
a cooking stove and a couple of bunk beds, and then there was yurts with like wood stoves in them for people to sleep in, like and dry their stuff out. So it was actually a lot nicer than I thought, and I think if I do it again in the future, that would definitely be my goal, to like get there for the night and get a quick nap in there. Um, but I got there, and that was like 3 hours, so I got there at like 9:30. Um, and my toes were actually surprisingly cold.
Surprisingly.
So I got undressed and like took my stuff out, hung it out to dry a little bit, and took my boots off and took the liners out. I think that was my mistake, is that the night before I didn't take the liners out of the boots, and they had been wet.
Wet. Yeah.
And so like when I started out in the morning, they just like froze basically.
Yeah.
So that was a learning experience, is take your liners out of your boots and try to dry them before you go back out. Um, but no, so I stayed there for like half an hour probably. And had some breakfast. They were cooking up bacon and eggs and toast. I was like,
Oh,
"Yep,
nice.
I'm in." Hit me up. Um, and then I was full and dried my stuff out a little bit, and then just kept rolling. So yeah.
And then from there, I mean, you still had how many hours of riding? Like 7,
Yeah, I
6?
still had 10 hours of
10.
riding from there.
I mean, I know Tristan and I were kind of watching your dot towards the end, and you're inching closer and closer and closer. But um, I mean, from Evans Camp to there to the end, I mean, that's a long chunk.
That's a long chunk, man. And there, for the most part, it was like pretty open, packed gravel roads, but um, we did a section. We did a section of, oh, it was a lake access area again, similar to Laughing Whitefish Falls, where there was just like a groomed path through the middle of the woods. Um, that was a really beautiful section, actually. I mean, the whole route was gorgeous, but that section was a highlight. Um, and then from there, you're heading towards Ishpeming. You kind of go the long about way to get to Ishpeming. Um, and then you hit this another snowmobile trail that goes basically from the south end of Ishpeming to Ishpeming. But I think that alone was almost like a 2-hour section of just like flat snowmobile trail, completely draining, just
Ugh.
like no end in sight. And luckily there was someone running SAG for their partner, and they gave me some water and some Reese's cups that helped me get through those snowmobile trails. And then you slowly inch your way towards Ishpeming, and I got to Ishpeming and for some reason didn't stop. It wasn't intentional. I just like, I don't know, I had a good song playing or something and didn't even notice I was passing by the finish. Like seriously, I was like, all right, just send it, like let's go. And I didn't realize that I wasn't going to be going through town, like again, that it was basically the 30-mile single track loop that you do for the mass start at the finish. And I was like, oh man, I hope I have enough food and water. Like I didn't even think about it. I honestly
So
just
hold on.
kept
So
going.
you
Sorry,
get to,
I'm talking fast.
no, you're great, but you get to, so the route, just to,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm unaware too. Like, so you get into Ishpeming and you do a loop in Ishpeming and then you finish in Ishpeming. Is that the?
Yeah. Yeah. You basically do all the Ramba groomed trails.
Yep.
So you start in Ishpeming, you head towards you do the Hill Street
Hmm.
snowbike trail, which is rough. It's it's very hilly.
Yeah.
And then from Hill Street, we went towards the Ishpeming Ski Club area where they do the jumps, the ski jumps.
Hmm.
And then we did the cross country trail at the ski area there. We did a little loop. And from there, you head to Nagani to hit the snowbike trail, SBT. You do that whole loop. And then you're finally like start heading back towards Ishpeming. So I think it
Got
was
it.
right about 30 miles total of
So,
Rambo single track at the
and
end.
and you blew through going through Ishpeming the first time. You just blew
Right.
through there, and so you basically had 30 miles, which would be what, 5 hours of riding or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think I did it in four, but yeah,
Okay. Okay.
it was, yeah, right about 4 hours. For some reason, I thought we went through Ishpeming twice. I don't know why. Um, that's what the route looked like, but I guess I didn't look at it close enough. Um, but anyway, I had I basically rode the whole race on Nature's Bakery crumble bars, my favorite, and the Morton 160 gels, which were great because like normally I'm not a huge gel guy, but when it was so cold that you couldn't chew, like it was hard to chew,
Yeah.
um, the gels were really nice to be able to just like slurp down. Um, so I think I had four gels and four bars as I went into Ishpeming,
Okay.
which is like the bare minimum amount
Yeah.
for 4 hours of riding.
Yeah. And did you have plenty of water though? I mean,
Honestly, I wasn't drinking much water because the water got so cold.
mhm.
Like you literally, well, part that sucked too is that you would have to stop because you're using a metal insulated container, so you've
Yep.
got to like unscrew it, stop to like take a drink of water, right? Like it's not like in the summer you just grab your bottle and
Yep.
chug away. Um and you like the lid would get stuck to the container. It would freeze to the container. Like the water wouldn't be frozen on the inside, but the lid would be frozen to the
Right.
threads. So I was like banging my bottle against a
Oh
tree
man.
so I could get it open. But it worked. It worked. But then when you go to drink it, it's like ice cold. I mean, you gotta just like
Like 33
birdie it.
degrees or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta birdie it because otherwise you get a brain freeze,
Oh man.
from
Yeah.
drinking it too fast.
Well, and I'm sure that
So
that's also a little that's not ideal because even though it's cold conditions, you're still working your ass off and you still need to drink. I mean, I'm sure you probably finished a bit dehydrated after all of that riding and not drinking as much water.
I'm sure I did. Honestly, that's another reason why the gels were so nice because I was like, well, at least I'm getting some sodium and liquid from the
Yeah.
gel,
Yeah.
you know? Uh, so I made sure to like have one of those every hour. But yeah, I mean, I, I'm still thirsty to be
I'm,
honest with you.
yeah.
So
Yeah. I'm not surprised. Um, in Ramba, then, like, so the the buckle cutoff time is 36 hours. And
yeah,
what was your finish time?
yeah, 35 hours and 55 minutes.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. um, so in that last section of Ramba, were you just watching the clock
I
like
was,
crazy?
I was, dude. I was like, I was, I knew because I've read in the SBT loop a few times now, more than a few times, but anyway, so I knew like generally, okay, once I make this turn, like I'm heading back towards Ishpeming, you know? Um, so it's like I was just constantly flipping back between my map and my like data to see, all right, what's your average speed? Are you maintaining your average speed? Is it dropping? How much time do you have left? And I like basically saw that I could make it, and I started hammering on the pedals. I actually ended up passing a few people like right at the end, um, which I didn't expect, but I like flew by them and they're like, where did you come from? Like, are you doing the ultra? And I'm like, yeah, I gotta make it, guys. And they were not in great shape. They were like, where the fuck did this guy get this energy from?
Yeah, that's
So,
incredible.
yeah.
And did you have? I mean, I know that there are like some people we knew up there, some people you knew up there. I mean,
Yeah.
Mackenzie wasn't at the finish; she was
She
still
did
out of
make it
town.
to the finish, yeah. So
Okay.
she
Oh,
she
cool.
flew in Tuesday afternoon. Um, and she was supposed to work, but then her flight got delayed, so she had to switch her schedule, and ended up making it to the finish, which was
Oh,
really nice to see
that's
her at the
awesome.
end. Yeah, so that was a nice treat.
There were
Um,
some epic photos of you at the end with like the. Did you make sure and have a nice beard going into the ultra just so you would have like the beard sickles to show off?
I mean, honestly, it wasn't about the beardsicles. It was more about like protecting my face,
Oh yeah,
because I don't like wearing the face masks. Um, I just hate that feeling of like condensation constantly
yeah,
on your mouth, you
yeah.
know? Um, so I was like, I've ridden in this cold. I know what happens. It's not going to be comfortable, but whatever. But yeah, no, the icicles were gnarly. I mean, some of them were like dangling. It kind of hurt, to be honest. Like just it pulling on your skin and hair the whole time. It's not a comfortable experience.
Well, I mean, it was worth it because the pictures were pretty legendary. So
Yeah, no, they were. I mean, it's funny. You don't even realize how big they're getting, when you're
yeah.
riding until you like someone snaps a photo or you go to take a selfie and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I look like Jack Frost."
Well, man, like, was there anything gear wise, maybe not on the list of required gear, or maybe on the list of required gear, but like, I mean, you talked about the gels were great to keep you going. Was there anything else that you were like, man, I'm so glad that I had this one thing or I made this one choice that got me to the finish?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think that the wool base layer,
Mm-hmm.
with a down jacket, real down, not the synthetic stuff. And I think one thing that people underestimate is like the power of air as insulation. So, like, I think it's a little counterintuitive, but mostly people think, like, okay, it's really cold. I need to layer up and I need to, like, bundle up, right? But I think sometimes that's detrimental because you you're basically like if you're stuffed in clothes, there's no air between the layers. So, and air is the best insulation. I mean, that's like why down works so well, right? That's why like fiberglass in your house. It's basically just trapping air pockets to like insulate between the two temps. So, you know, I think layering is good, but I think people overlayer. And I think sometimes, honestly, it doesn't make sense because you think more is better, but I think sometimes less is better. And it's good to be a little bit cold instead of overheating and sweating, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that to me was like the biggest thing. And then the goggles. The goggles were a lifesaver. Like
Mm,
some of the sections where it's like 20, 30 mile per hour winds and you're on an open gravel road and the snow's like whipping, across your face. Throw those bad boys down and you're like good to go. You don't like regular glasses. You still would have been, suffering from the wind.
for
So,
sure. For sure.
yeah, I think those couple things like really helped. And then, I ran studded tires. I think you could have gotten away without studded tires,
I was
but
gonna ask you about tires. Yeah.
yeah, just that like security of knowing, if there is ice under this snow, I'm probably going to be okay. Whereas like if you don't have studs, you're probably going to fall.
Yeah.
I think even on the groomers, sometimes they give you a little bit more traction. Um, because it's a stud rather than just a tread, but that's my personal opinion. Um, but yeah, I think that was helpful just from feeling comfortable. Um, and then I I don't know what people were carrying, honestly. I don't know what people were carrying, but they had way more shit than I did. I was like looking around and I'm like, what am I missing here? I passed the gear check. Like I have all the items on the gear list. What is everyone carrying that I'm not, Um, so, sometimes you just gotta really like consider, I think, do I absolutely need this or am I just carrying it because I I'm scared I might need it and I'm gonna be upset that I forgot it. I don't know. I think you really have to like look at every single item and be like, is this absolutely necessary or will I, make it without it? And that can be a tough decision, especially with the circumstances we were in. So
For sure. And like, I mean, you never had to sleep outside, right? Like you never
no,
had to use your stove. You never had to boil
right,
water or boil snow to get water. Like you never
right.
had to do those things. But I mean, you were prepared for that in case you had
Yeah, if
to.
I had to, I could. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And I think that's one of the good things about. I mean, I've talked to now on the podcast several people about Polar Ultra, and it's like it's definitely not. It's. I think it's one of the most like it's a good first winter ultra to do, because I mean I mean, even though you're in some remote spots, like you're not too far from
right,
civilization,
right.
um, and you can get away with finishing it without having to sleep out in the elements or
Yep.
um, but but yeah, like I love the fact that a week ago you had never done an winter ultra, and now like you're you're on your way to being a pro with doing winter ultras, and I just love how that works, man. I'm so
I do too, man. It's so
um,
nice.
would you consider, because I know that there are several
Yeah.
really iconic winter ultras out there,
Yeah.
um would you ever consider doing like Arrowhead or um
I did a rod.
I did a rod or yeah, I mean,
Those are the two big ones. I don't know. It's enough to it was a lot of work just to get ready for this and it's in my backyard.
right, yeah,
Let alone now adding the element of I'm going somewhere where I don't know anyone and I don't know any of the like area. right?
Yeah.
It's a little daunting, but it's definitely in the cards, I would say.
Yep.
So I no, I'm just shocked at um the amount of people that signed up versus the amount of people that finished.
What's the number there? I mean, was it like
I think
50 people that started
no,
or
so 70 people signed up. Um,
sheesh.
49 people showed up to gear check.
Okay.
So right off the bat, we had 20 people drop. And then I think what was it, like 14 or 15 people finished out of the 50.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
it's like not many people.
Not at all.
Um, and I was most surprised at the people who kind of like were already in Ishpeming and had quit. Um, I don't, I haven't heard the backstory on some of those riders, but some people got really close or were like, they were over 100 miles,
Mhm.
um,
I mean, but
made it
you know,
made it to Ishpeming, and I know how it is. I've done that
yeah,
before too. You
yeah,
haven't,
like
so
Margie, like you get all the way to, Jackson Mine to second
right,
time, and people quit there all the time. You're
right,
90 miles into Margie, and there's still a
yeah,
lot of people that quit. So I mean, it's
crazy.
it sounds like you're so close to the finish, but in reality, I mean, it's you
It's
have a lot left. You have a
it's
lot
still another
left.
4 or 5 hours, right? It's only 30
Exactly.
miles, but it's like 5 hours of riding. So,
Well, man,
um,
I mean, I'm super proud of you. And kind of going right back to the beginning of our conversation, Sebastian, do you feel redeemed? I mean, are you?
I do, man. I feel so redeemed. I feel so ready for the season now, too. You know
Oh,
what I
that's
mean? It's
awesome.
like
Yeah,
you get like one big accomplishment under your belt, and it's like, all right, I'm ready for anything now.
that's so cool, man. That's great.
But you should do it, man. Next year, I think you should plan to do it. I can be your guide.
I mean, probably like before you did this, I probably would have said hell no, but just talking to you and and just knowing that it might be possible, yeah. Maybe I should. Maybe I should. But well, cool, man. I mean, this is awesome. I'm glad that we were able to get this talked about so soon afterwards. And again, congrats. Where's your buckle? I gotta see that bad boy.
I don't have it yet.
You don't? Oh, that's
No,
right.
dude.
Because
Comes in
that's
the
right.
mail.
It comes in the mail. That's got to be a heavy. It's the shipping's got to be pretty expensive because how heavy and hefty it is. But
Yeah, no, it's massive. It's got
where,
the polar bear on it.
where are you gonna display that bad boy? Or are you just gonna wear it all the time?
Can't remember I think the last time I can't remember the last time I wore a belt, honestly. But maybe I'll start wearing one now.
Yeah, no time like now.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Well, cool, man. Again, congrats. Um, and yeah, man, I'm super proud. That's a hell of an
Thanks.
accomplishment.
Dude, I feel so good. I feel
Yeah,
so good
you should.
about it.
You should.
And I felt good. I really did feel good the whole ride, which was like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what it was, but I guess
You were
I
smarter
didn't feel
than
like I trained enough, but I think
yeah,
just sleeping in my own bed overnight was like crucial. And now
yeah,
looking back, I'm like, I wish we had done that for the out and back. Just like, all right, like we have time, let's go rest and like get back out. You know what I mean? Like looking
yeah.
back, that would have been the move, but easier said than done.
Well,
So
that's like a lesson learned, right? So that's
yeah,
you do the out and back, you fail, and you realize you learn some things, and then you apply them, polar ultra,
Yeah.
and then you buckle.
Yes.
All right, man. We'll see ya.
All right. See ya. Bye.
The Dirty Chain Podcast is a Michigan Mid-Pack Media production in partnership with KOM Cycling, the source for your bike accessories and necessities. Connect with us on Instagram and Facebook at Dirty Chain Podcast. If you are enjoying the podcast, please leave us a rating and review on whatever platform you use to listen. Audio editing and original music by myself, Trevor Gibney. A huge thank you to Sebastian for joining us on this episode, and thank you all for listening to the Dirty Chain Podcast. And as always, keep your chain clean, but get your chain dirty. We will see you in the mid-pack.